Good morning. Good morning. Oh my gosh, Karen, you are up so late. She says, I'm here to say hi. It's 2 a.m. Oh my gosh. Hi. I hope everyone's good. All right, so today I'm wearing the same sweater as yesterday, guys. I hope you... Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. So today we're going to do these right here at the bottom. Okay, and we're going to use 3 colors of green. All right, so we're going to use the same color green that we used for this over here, and that's 210. And then we're going to use the color we didn't use yet. Your nails. Yeah, we did them last night. And then it's star 214. That's the other one. And these 2 colors are going to be for the middle part of the, I'm just nosy. Aw, I love you, Karen. You're so sweet. It's going to be for the middle of this part right here. So all the middle parts here are going to be alternating these 2 colors. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Oh, but you're just going to go every other one, and we're going to make them kind of like long and short stitch, but not. I'm calling it straight stitch, but they're kind of going to blend together a little bit. So you'll see. Okay, so we've got these 2 colors, 210 and 214, and then you're going to use the more yellowy green. See how it's got a bit more yellow in it? That's going to be for the outline. Okay. Okay. Now, if you want to use less strands for this, you can. Let's just see how... I'm just going to do 6 because 1, it's easier, and 2, it's quite a big space to fill up. Yeah, so if you think... Let's just zoom in. Karen says, Tori's voice is ASMR. Lull me to sleep, please. I'm like still a bit stuffed up, so sorry. So if you kind of have a look, if this right here was 1 stitch, it isn't too thick, yeah? But it also isn't too thin either. Whereas if we did maybe like 3 strands, I cut my nails really short last night too. It would blend together more. You'd have to do a lot more stitches to fill it up, but it would kind of like blend more. So it depends on what kind of look you're going for. If you want it to really blend together, it almost look like the colors are blending. I don't know how else to say it, you know? Then use less strands. You're gonna have to stitch it a lot more stitches, but it'll look a little bit more blended. So I think I might compromise and do 4 strands. So I'm going to start with the dark one, with the darker color, and I'm going to do all of the black lines that I've drawn. And do you remember, I forgot this one here. Bom dia, good morning, good morning. Oh my gosh, we had, as you all know, we had my niece yesterday, and at the end of the day, Jessie was like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, I need to recover. It was absolutely hilarious. We were like, do you want to have your dinner? And she was like, no, leave me alone right now. I want nothing to do. I just want to be by myself. And I was like, oh, it was so funny. Okay, so we're going to start with this. We've got a nice thick outline there. So we don't have to do the outline first. We can just concentrate on the leaves. And the reason I did this on Friday is because they do take a little bit of work. So if you don't actually finish them all today, you have tomorrow and you have Sunday if you want to work on them a little bit as well. So yeah, let's go. So all we're going to do is fill up this space. And some of them will be shorter, some of them will be longer. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna tidy it up and make it all go together with the next color. So this color here is just like the first layer, if that makes any sense. You just kind of want to have some long stitches, some short stitches. And when we go into the next color, we're going to make them look a little bit more jagged. So they're not going to be like boom, boom, like this. They're going to be like, have like a zigzaggy kind of edge to them. Jessie has so much personality. I love her. She's so funny. And like in real life, it's like some of the things that she does and says, I'm just like, are you for real right now? Like, you're so sassy. Not satin stitch, thank God. Yeah, so it's a little bit more forgiving because obviously satin stitch, you have to be a little bit more careful with where you put your stitches and how they go. And we'll do that later. We'll do that for these ones and these ones. And probably some leaves as well, if I remember correctly. So this one's just straight stitches. So super forgiving if you get a little bit astray, if you know what I mean. If you're like, whoa, this is not really working out how I thought, you can just add a couple more stitches over it. So I'm just making these longer and shorter. You can see that if I zoom in, all the lights in the house are on and it's still a bit gray, so I'm sorry about that. But you can totally see how none of them start and stop in the same place. They're just like boom, 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 straight stitches. So hopefully when we put the next color in, we can like stitch into that section and make it look like we've got a little bit of a line. Okay, so for me to repeat all of that again, or you're just gonna have to watch it again. At the moment, we're using 210 and we're using 4 strands, and this is they're just straight stitches. So you're gonna have to watch the beginning of the video for me to explain it all again. But it's not too difficult, it's okay. Okay, so just like always, I'll do one stalk completely. So meaning I'll do the darker color and then the lighter color and then the outline. Yeah. And then we'll go on, so that if you guys need to go and do some work or do other things, you know, you don't have to sit and watch me do all the greens for every single one. Do you know what I mean? So I'll finish one stalk completely first, and then we'll just work on the other ones as we're chatting. Yeah. And it's totally okay if these are not like completely straight and parallel. You can see that they're kind of like a little bit on an angle every which way. Totally fine. Not a big deal. Four strands. I'm using 4 strands, but you can use as many as you want. 6 strands will make it look a little bit more bulky. 2 strands or 1 strand will be more like a thread painting, meaning that they'll really blend together and look really smooth. Yeah, it just depends on kind of what you like. I'm kind of doing a mix of, I don't want to be here forever, thread painting, but I also don't want it to be too chunky because we have more colors to use. Does that make sense? But there's lots of different ways that you can do this to add more texture or less texture. Just depends what you like, what I always say. There's no like right way, best way. Okay, so I've only got one more little band of dark to do. Of course I said that and then I got a knot. I'm actually thinking of rearranging all of like my desks and stuff for the studio because I feel like I could probably make better use of this space. Karen, stop it. She said, Tori's way is the best way. Are you kidding us? You guys are too nice. Okay, I've got one more to do. Whew. I had really weird dreams last night. It was so strange. I was like in a school because I used to be a teacher. So school's often like, I'm often a teacher in my dreams. I guess technically I am still a teacher if this counts. But yeah, and we got ducks, like a white duck. And for some reason the duck had eggs and like little babies started popping out. And then an octopus came and ate the duck. Somebody needs to like decode that. Surely that means something. But yeah, I woke up like, that is so weird. We weren't even watching like nature programs, so talk to me about that. Okay. Yes, you need to go to sleep. I'll stop comment bombing and go to sleep. Have a fun live. Have a good sleep. What an odd dream. I know, right? We weren't even like watching nature documentaries, because sometimes it happens after nature documentaries when you're like, yeah, I'll read that in just a minute. Okay, so we just did 210, the same one we used for the roses here. Yeah, 4 strands. So now we're going to do 2, 1, 4, 4 strands. Okay? And we're going to fill in the white space between the lines. In Stitches All Day says, my partner is listening in and is very impressed that you can stitch, teach, read questions, and answer them all at the same time. Honestly, it's just the setup that I have, because I can see my hoop and the questions. Like, my phone is right above. Obviously, my phone is right above because you guys can see. But it's like right at my eye line too. And then I got like a stiff arm instead of the gooseneck ones. A stiff arm phone holder. So it doesn't wobble like it used to. If you're like an OG Stitchalong person, like I used to hit it like at least once every day. And so the whole video would go like that. And I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ugh, it was awful. Most of that was reasonable until the octopus. See, that's what I thought. I was like, what is happening? And then we were like trying to like clean up, you know, what happened to the duck. And we found like baby octopuses. I don't know what the plural of that is, but we found like little ones in a cardboard box. They were like that big. And I was like, get them in water. I don't get it. Apparently dreams about an octopus symbolize chaos in life. Oh. Wow. That was telling. All right, so let's do the little tip here. Now, this is where it all kind of comes together. I need to take my sweatshirt off. This is where it comes together because we're not going to stitch up to the lines here. We're going to stitch into the lines. We're going to stitch into each of the stitches. So you're not trying to aim for like each stitch into, if you know what I mean. So it's not like a split stitch where every single stitch goes into another stitch and splits it. Goodness. So we're just doing a couple. I'm stitching an octopus right now. Maybe. Goodness. So we're just going to stitch these right on the edge. So let me just zoom in a little bit more because I feel like I don't want to lose you, okay? So we're just going to go into right at the edge. Do you see how it's just a little bit in? And this here is where you're going to end up seeing the zigzagginess. So we don't want it to be all one line, okay? We want it to kind of be like this, you know? See if I can do it with my fingers. Yeah? So it has like a zigzaggy-ish kind of line to it. Guys, I always think, I hope to God I'm making sense because some of the words that come out of my mouth, I don't know. Now I've got 4 strands again. At the tip here, you're not going to have as many stitches as before. So this is 2, 1, 4. I've said it all at the beginning as well, so if you miss it, you can always go back and watch it. Okay. So I'm not doing anything like wild here with the stitching, okay? I'm just doing the exact same straight stitches. I'm just trying to make them a bit more random without being random, you know? Kind of like, oh, these just are kind of like that. But actually we're trying to plan it so that none of them are in line with each other. So some will go far down and some will go higher up. And they're not all the same length or anything like that. We're not like measuring. We're just trying to make a little bit of like a random chaos. And we're trying to get them into the green stitches, the darker green stitches. Okay, does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I'm just going to do one more along the edge here because it looks like it's not filled up all the way. Is that George I see? Hi, George. Okay, so let me zoom out a little bit and then you can see what it looks like a little bit because I've only done a couple so far. Yeah? I really like it. I think it looks quite fun. And they're very simple stitches too. So it's not like I'm doing some kind of crazy, like, you know, over the top stitch. I'm literally just doing straight stitches, which we did day 1. So it's kind of like long and short stitch. Yep, that's why I said at the beginning of the video. It's kind of like long and short stitch, but not. Because we're doing 2 colors. Normally with long and short stitch, you would do 1 color and fill it up. And this one is like almost like a split stitch because we're going into each of the colors. Where a lot of times long and short stitch, you would go between them or in the same hole at the end. So instead of, let's see here. Instead of going into here, you would go at the very, very end and go through that same hole. Yeah? That's my understanding of it, at least. I know a lot of people teach long and short stitch differently because it's kind of one of those there's different variations. And so if you hear it a certain way from a certain person, then you might think it's this way, but if you hear it a different way from someone else, then you might think it's that way. But I've come to kind of categorize long and short stitch as not going into the to split the threads. I would say that's a long and short split stitch. And then long and short stitch is using long and short stitches, normally in the same hole as each other like this. So almost like a brick stitch, but more random. I think, at least. But again, I always say people are going to teach it differently. So, you know, if you do it a different way, or if you learn it a different way, or if you're like, nope, that's not how I know it, then that's okay. You can do it a different way like that. A lot of the stitches are super similar. They're just like a small little thing that's been changed. And therefore they're like, it's a new stitch. And you're like, that's the exact same stitch that we've just done. Okay, and let me do one more on this side because it seems like I really want to fill in space here. I don't want to leave it so that the edges are not filled in. Okay? All right, let me see if I can get this done a little bit quicker. Have you got any questions? Am I making sense? First time I'm using this effect and I'm loving it. Oh, I'm so glad. I've taught this before in some patterns, and I'm pretty sure I've done it in a stitch along as well. Probably one of my first stitch alongs. But it's really fun because it's not super difficult, you know? It's not, it's just using really simple techniques, and the way that you use them and put them together is like a little bit different. So that's what I like about it. But I like to do them on Fridays in a stitch along, or kind of like in sections, because let me just fill that in right there. Because they do take a long time. So I've done 25 minutes already. The first kind of 6 or 7 minutes, I was just explaining and telling you the colors and showing how I was going to do it. And the rest of the time has been stitching. So it's about 20 minutes to do one. And we've got 6. I mean, granted, that one's a baby one. That one's quite small, but still. So we've done it on a Friday so that you have all weekend if you've got an extra 20 minutes. Or if you want to schedule yourself an extra 20 minutes to just sit and do one leaf, you can. Like, imagine this was on a Monday, you know? You'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to catch up. So yeah, we're just trucking along. And then the next one we'll use is the yellow green, which is 1043. Let's just do another one in the middle here. This is looking a bit too even. And then we'll do just the bottom to the edge. Now what I like to do is hold it up to the window and then draw a little line on the bottom. And that kind of shows how far I can go down, because of course there's the inner hoop. I'm using a 7-inch hoop. So if I wanted to stitch over the edge, I could put this into a bigger hoop and stitch over the edge and then put it back into the small hoop, and then the stitching would go down into the crack here. But I'm not doing that, am I? So if you just hold your hoop up to the light, you can see that inner ring like that. See how it's right there? And then I just make a nice little line there so I know that's where I should stop. and get a nice straight line. Okay, we're almost done, we're almost done. And then we'll use the lighter green color to do the outline. I think the plant is called Mother-in-Law's Tongue. Really? I'll have to look it up. Mother-in-Law's Tongue. I like that. And someone asked me what I had for dinner last night because of my crazy dream. And I had doner meat and chips. So is it the doner meat? Is that what happened? Okay. So for the outline, my plan is to do a stem stitch all around the outside. You're not too late to join. Everything is in the link in my bio. You can get all the threads from Love Crafts or Snake Plant. Yeah, that's the one that I thought it was. But I was like, maybe I'm wrong about that. But that's okay. You can get the pattern. It's free in the link in my bio. And yeah, you can get the threads from Love Crafts or 1-2-3 cross stitch or 1-2-3 stitch maybe. So, all right, in my plan, I was going to do a stem stitch, and you can do 1 row of stem stitch or 2 rows of stem stitch, up to you depending on how thick you want to make this. If you're not keen on stem stitch, you could always do like a satin stitch outline, like on an angle, like this, where you make all your stitches on an angle. It's a bit tricksy like that though, so I'm going to do this one. All right, so someone's asked, is there an alternative color to 1043 or alternate color? Let me just check the pattern that they've provided again, because like we found out yesterday, yesterday, I got sent one of the colors a little bit different than the color in the, no, it's 1043 in the pattern too. So that's good. They're the same. Excuse me. I put music on every day, so there's definitely music. Sorry. So we're gonna do 4 strands on here. I can turn it down a little bit if you think it's a bit too loud, but I can't just sit here in silence. So we're gonna do 4 strands again, because that's what we use for the middle, and we're gonna do the stem stitch for the outline. So here we go. Let's do a knot at the back. And I like to start my stem stitch on this side like this. Like I like to work on it this way instead of straight up or straight down. It's just a personal preference, and I feel like you guys can see the stitch a little bit better when it's like worked from left to right kind of. So there we go. Okay, so we're gonna come up from the side. I know we already did the stem stitch for the woven wagon wheels, but it's exactly the same, to be fair, but around the circle looks a little bit different than in a straight line. So let's just see here. Something's wobbling. Let's just do that. All right, so we're gonna go up from the back. Again, it's 1043. It's the yellow green color. Yep, 1043, and I'm doing 4 strands. So we're gonna make a loop. Now, if you make these really, really small stitches, they're gonna look very, very, very twisted. And if you make them longer, they're gonna look less twisted. So I like to start kind of like with this one, this kind of length, yeah? And then if you want to go smaller on some other ones, then you can kind of experiment with that. So we're going to go up in the middle of these two. And just like the same as yesterday, we want this one and this one to be the same length as this one and this one. So each stitch length is the same. You're kind of just going up a little bit, if that makes any sense. I've got the tail in mine, that's why. Okay, so let's do our next stitch. Okay, and then up here, right where we stopped. Right where we went down the first time for our first stitch, you're gonna go up in that hole or right next to it. It doesn't matter because it's gonna get covered up by this stitch. So you're not gonna see if you make a little space or not. Whereas in the back stitch, if you do make a space, it will look like this. Whereas this one, we want it to look like this, but if it doesn't, it's okay because the stitches are getting covered up by the stem stitch. And then we just continue all the way to the tip. Now, if you would like to go back again and do another, because you see the outline is a little bit thicker than the outline that we're doing right now, we can go back and do another row of stem stitch right next to it. And it will give a bigger outline. I did. So I used Dipwell. They're the dip powder nails. Went a little far on that one, but that's okay. But they actually don't ship to England, so I've tried using Rossi nails from about October. Yeah, from about October, or maybe even September. But I've used them for quite a bit, and I actually really like them. The only problem is that they're now, because we're not in the EU, they are based in Germany. So I'm actually waiting on a shipment of new colors because all the Dipwell colors I got, not last summer, because we weren't allowed to go to the States in the summer, last summer. And I think it was the summer before, maybe. I got a lot of like nudes and like light colors, which is the ones you saw yesterday. Because I was like, oh, if I don't like them, I don't want them to be like crazy, like create like wild colors. Yeah. I'll just get some safe colors and then I'll be able to use them a lot and wear them a lot. But now I'm getting a bit bored of them. Okay. So this is what we have so far. I've got one row done. We'll go down at the very tip. Like that to finish it, okay? And we can go back on ourselves if you want to do another row. Let's do the other side. Again, I'm going to turn it because it just is better. Just been sat on by the puppy. Managed to get the hoop out of the way. Oh, bless you. Zoe says, I know we've done this before, but I seem to have a memory block on stem stitch. Can never remember how to do it. Oh. I need to do another stitch quiz so that you can like recognize the stitches based on how they look. That's quite fun. I think I saved it in my highlights, but I don't know if you can actually answer the quiz. And if you've already done the quiz, the answers will already be there because you've already done them. Okay, so we've just gone down at the tip here. So we can't start like we did before at the tip. Yeah? Because we've just gone down there. So an easy way to do it is just do this side first. Yeah, down on this way. Now with stem stitch, I seem to have not said the most crucial part of stem stitch is that the loop always goes on the hump. So here we've got a slight curve this way. So the loop is always going to go on that side. Outline stitch is almost exactly the same, except the loop goes on the other side. So if you've got a straight line, if the loop goes on the top, it's stem stitch. If the loop goes on the bottom, it's outline stitch. But actually they look the same. I've just learned that if you have a curve though, it tends to look better if you do the loop on the hump or on the curve. If that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. It's confusing to me that stem and outline stitch is similar, where you go up in the middle or at the end of the previous one. Yeah, so all the other things about stem stitch and outline stitch are exactly the same. How to do the stitch is the same. It's just the loop that goes in a different spot. There we go. I'm very zoomed in right now. Oh, this looks so good. I can't wait to work on it this weekend since I'm sofa bound. Oh, I know. So that's why I like when we did the stem stitch on the outside of the circle, we did the loop on this side. Yeah, the loop was this way because that's the way the hump was. Just like when we were on this side, it went that way because that's the way the hump was. And honestly, to me, outline and stem stitch, they're exactly the same. The look is exactly the same. Like, there's really not much difference. I just find that it looks slightly better if you put the loop on the hump, because it kind of like twists in a way. Like it twists in the twist goes in a different way, if you know what I mean. It would go the other way, like facing. So see how it kind of, the lines go up like that? If you were to do it the other way, they would go that way, like facing in. But experiment. Do the outline stitch if you want to. See how it looks. Now the other thing to note is that if you don't want to do 2 rows of stem stitch, you totally don't have to, but just make sure that you put the stalk or snake plant leaf, because these are all one leaf, aren't they? Right up next to the other one. Yeah, so like here, there's extra space, just right there. Just make sure that if you don't want to make your outline any thicker, then you just make these the 210 that we used, the darker color, and the lighter color here go all the way up to the stem. Does that make sense? Yeah, don't go up to here, because otherwise you'll have a big white space there. Now, the other thing you can do, obviously, is to just do another row of stem stitch. So if you wanted to make a nice, thick, chunky outline, of course you can. That's totally fine. So let's zoom out and see what it looks like. Zoom out more. I didn't zoom out enough. There we go. So we've done 1. So I'll probably do the same as I did yesterday. I'll see if there's a time where I can go live a little bit later, because I always feel bad to just do one thing, you know? See if there's sport on for David to watch or something like that, because it looks like it's raining outside, so we won't be doing stuff outside. So yeah, I'll probably come back on later today to do some more work on these, so you can have a chat and a, you know, just to see. And to watch, like, it's always nice to watch people stitch more than one, so you don't have to stitch just one, you know? But yeah, there we go. So pretty. I really do love these. They're going to look so good right in the front like that. So yeah, there you go. That's it from me. Like I said, I'll be on probably later today or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I'll have a chat with David and see if he's got anything going on, because I like him to be out, away. Otherwise, you can hear the TV and everything. It's annoying. Yeah, and then I'll come back and do a little part 2. It's exactly the same education-wise, if you know what I mean. There's nothing else that changes for any of these last 5 remaining stalks, okay? They're all done exactly the same. It's just a chance to chat and stitch a bit more, especially for people who are in the States or in a different time zone that can't necessarily come at 5 a.m. every morning. Okay, so today is the last day of the week. It's Friday. Saturday and Sunday, there's no teaching. They're just catch-up days. So if you would like to work on things that we've already done, like finishing these here, or if you need to do your woven wagon wheels, do that. You can start a new hoop and experiment with the stitches that we've learned this week. Yeah, it's just you can do whatever you want to. So I hope you have a good weekend. I will speak with you a bit later for this one. Be sure to tag me at the Barmy Fox. And I'll be reposting. I love to repost them. They're looking so good already. Like, I cannot believe it's only been 5 days. I'm like, we've done so much. They look incredible. And you can use the hashtags, hashtag the Barmy Fox SAL, Anchor Threads, Anchor Crafts, Anchor Crafting. And yeah, I'll see you soon. All right? Bye. Bye, bye, bye.